This is The Gorge. This is a podcast where my friend Sara and I gorge ourselves on overanalyzing a game or game-related topic. And this week we are taking things a little easier, and we are going to just talk about some happy game memories and some Christmas stories, and just kind of end the year on a chill note.
That was so peaceful. That was such a peaceful intro. When you started talking, I was like, oh, he sounds so chill. That's so nice. Oh, that's wonderful. I've been drinking.
I figured, 2016 has,
sucked.
It hasn't been the best of years.
It's been the worst fucking year ever. In a long,
We've had better years, and just today, we found out that Carrie Fisher had a heart attack.
Oh, Space Mama, you're okay. Please be okay.
She's okay. She is okay.
Yeah,
she's in recovery, so she's gonna be fine. So that's good.
Space Mom, stay with us.
But we had a rough year, so we're gonna end it on some positive notes. Like, even here on the podcast, we've had our down episodes.
But we're not gonna talk about that today. We're gonna talk about nice things.
We're drinking again.
But
we are. This time they are not drinks of exhaustion and requirement. No, these are happy, content winter drinks.
I don't know if a Moscow Mule is a winter drink, but I'm gonna call it one.
It's a summer drink, but
it totally is. You've got a Christmas drink.
I've got a nice cold glass of vanilla eggnog and some Captain's in it, and it's really good and really strong, and I love eggnog.
Everything goes down so smooth. I got back from Christmas shopping, because of course I waited until the last possible minute. Because I don't know if you've noticed anything about this. How long have we been doing this podcast now? When did we start? It was
since summer.
Okay.
It's been several months.
Okay. I mean, we've been doing this for a while, and if you haven't learned yet that I never prepare for anything ever, then you are in, you need to learn, is what I'm saying, because I'm never, ever fucking prepared. So, and this is yet another case. I did all of my Christmas shopping in, the last few days, because I hate
literally the last minute. Today is the day.
Today, actually, I'm banking on the fact that 2 stores in town are open tomorrow. Until 3 p.m. because they were closed when I went to go shop at them this evening, so I've got to wake up and go there first thing. So I will literally be shopping at the literal last possible second to get 2 gifts. I know. I do this to myself and I deserve it, because
I used to work at Toys R Us, and I did work December 24th, the year I worked at Toys R Us, and it was quite crowded that day.
Yeah, I'm one of those assholes. I always try to tell the people at the stores, I'm so sorry, I worked retail, I know how terrible this is, I feel so bad for you, and I try to just be as nice as humanly possible to them, because I know they're having the worst month of their year. Yeah. All the stores were a disaster zone that I went into.
And I'll bet.
Oh, God, I felt so bad for everybody working there. I was just oh, my God. Just clothes strewn. It's horrible.
There's a mall next to where I work, and there were cops and security guards directing traffic into the parking structure.
Wow.
Because I work next to, the high-class mall, the fancy mall.
Oh, yeah, okay. You work next to the fancy mall.
And so, they were just, there were so many cars just, in a huge line. And luckily, the parking lot that I work in, leads out a back way.
Oh, man.
So I got to just, drive past everyone and be like, ha-ha, fuckers! I'm free!
I'm away from that life, fuckers!
And there's signs that are do not park here. This is for employees and Bank of America guests only.
See, it's so funny, because, you live in, kind of a real city. I mean, you live on the outskirts of Detroit, but, I mean, you still live in, a metropolitan area, so, there's enough people shopping to require a police presence. Here where I live, in Nowhereistan, Alabama, you're just kind of on your own, man, It is horrible. Walmart was... I had to go to Walmart for something.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. You have to understand this. You have to understand that the Walmart where I live in Nowheresville, Alabama, is one of the biggest and most busy in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
It was so large that they actually had to build another Walmart, like, I'd say 15 miles up the road, 20, God. Just to, like, split the customer base in half because it was just too much. Yeah. Because that Walmart, this is a Christmas story, I guess, that Walmart services, like, 5 different counties. So it's super busy all the time. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. God, it's the worst. Why am I coughing? Whatever. So,
probably because you're drinking a lot of vodka.
I love it! I love
Moscow
vodka.
mules are... I had a raspberry mule yesterday. I went out with my girlfriend for Christmas dinner.
Oh, that's so nice.
And, I had a raspberry mule, and they are delicious.
And super stout. Real fucking stout. What'd you say to me before the phone call?
So before we started recording, she told me that she was drinking one, and I love Moscow mules, and I am the kind of guy who is easily tricked by alcohol. And, like, I really like fruity. I don't like the raw taste of alcohol.
Oh, yeah,
like, I like light beers, and I like really fruity cocktails.
Yeah.
So when I drink Moscow mules, I am tricked because there's more vodka in them than I think there is.
Yes, there is.
And so I told her, drink one so that you're good. And she said, what did you say?
I said, oh, I've already had 2. I've already had 2. When I was in Seattle, I just got back. I had 3 at a bar, and I was kind of like staggering. I mean, you got those texts from me at the bar, and they were incoherent.
Sarah and I make a game out of drunk texting each other, and turning the caps lock on to make it a challenge for the sober person to decipher what the fuck we're trying to say.
Because, like, if you turn on the caps lock, the autocorrect doesn't correct. And so, we text each other and we're just like, what the fuck is... And I got real fucking incomprehensible in a few of those texts.
You were like, I'm like, okay, I got part of those words, and the first half of the sentence is just gone. You're gonna have to spell it again.
Wait, I wonder if I can pull it up on my phone real fast, because we haven't texted much since I got back from Seattle. And there was one where I was looking at it after the fact, and I was even like, what the fuck was wrong with me? Let's see. You
sent me a picture of your dog, too.
Did I send you a picture of my dog?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I totally did! Oh man, I totally did. I said, look at my baby, he's a perfect gift from God. Okay, what did I say? Oh man. I also said, also, Moscow mules are amazing. And you said, they are, but be careful with them. Oh my god, this is so amazing.
The one, where is it?
It's this one. I said, I can't believe this bar had a Foeg Carter for me. And you said, a Phoenix car? And I had to go, no, a phone charger. But I picked up phone a second time.
Yeah, you sent me a phone charger.
I said a phone charger.
So, like, it's Phoej Carter, and I'm like, well, she's in a like a city area, and I know that barcades exist.
Yes.
So, like, maybe there's like a Phoenix Wright themed car somewhere, and she's freaking out about it.
No, it's just that I was in a bar in Seattle, and I asked the bartender, because my phone was at like 2%, and I asked the bartender, I was like, do you have a phone charger? And in Birmingham, the answer would always be no. But in Seattle, the answer was, yeah, actually I do. And I was like, what the fuck? Oh my god. And there was even a spot behind the bar for him to plug it into so I could just charge my phone while drinking. And I was like, this is God's country. Oh my god. It was amazing. Like, oh man. Did I tell you too that, like, I know they're my people. Like, I need to move up there at some point in my life, if just for like a year. Because I was walking around, and like in Alabama, like in winter, for when it's not very winter down here, it's like the lowest it ever gets. Like in February, it gets kind of cold, but it's not like Michigan cold, you know? Mm-hmm. And like the coldest it gets down to like, 10 degrees, which is cold, but I know you get negative numbers, so
yeah,
it's a different kind of cold up there. And so, like, down here, when it gets cold, people wear, like, colors still. Because we're everybody in Alabama wears colors, and it's always kind of a summery
Well, because you don't want to get shot by a hunter.
Yeah, exactly. Because we all are afraid of deer hunters down here 100% of the time. And so, like, there's color and stuff, but I wear black all the time because I'm a fucking, hipster loser. Mm-hmm. And so, and everybody's always like, Sarah, why do you wear so much black? And I'm like, because I hate every other color, comparatively speaking. And then I went to Seattle, and Whitney, who's one of my bosses, and another friend, another coworker of mine, we were all there. It was on a business trip. They're in color because they're Alabamians, and I'm all in black, and I'm walking around, and everybody in this city's in fucking black. And I was like, I found my people. I found where I belong. Everybody in this city is in fucking black. It's like when
Tarzan meets Jane, and he sees that there are other humans. There are other hairless apes like him.
Yes, there are other weirdos who wear black 95% of the year. And I was like, holy shit.
If it makes you feel better, I looked. We organized our coat closet. And I realized I own exactly one jacket that is not black.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking
I have one because I gave my orange one to Melissa. I now only have a burgundy jacket, and the rest are either black or gray.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad. See, I think what it is, we should be talking about video games, but whatever.
We should. We'll get that in a second.
We'll get there in a minute. I think what it is...
fun.
I think the reason, like, why Southerners still wear, like, colors in the winter is because we are a weak species of people when it comes to the cold. And, because of that, like, bright colors absorb the sun, or they, like, reflect the sun more.
Yeah.
And it can still get, like, a day in Alabama is like, it starts at 10 degrees, and then by, lunch, it's, like, 60 degrees outside, because this is horrible sometimes. And so, like, you wear the bright colors because you never know when it's gonna get fucking hot out here, ever. Because it's always fucking hot down here. And so that's why we never wear black down here, is because, like, black absorbs heat. And so it can get really fucking hot. Yeah. I'm rambling.
There's also the fact that, like, when it gets cold for you, wearing a coat is like a special occasion.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's time to break out the coats. Whereas up here in Michigan, we need coats to match with everything in case we need a coat. Like, we have to be practical with our colors. Like, they have to. We can't be like, oh, I'll wear my festive orange one. No, it might not match. So you have to bring the black one because it's the only thing that'll match with whatever you're wearing.
Right. See, that totally makes sense. Down here, it's a major occasion when we can actually wear, like, real fucking winter clothes. And again, it's never really fucking winter down here. Like, except for, like, 2 weeks at the end of January and the beginning of February. And then it's like, oh, fuck, it's hot again. Shit. So, yeah.
Well, now, in your defense, there's a certain threshold where temperature just stops fucking mattering. Like, realistically, there's no difference between, like, 10 degrees and, like, -2.
You're right.
Like, it doesn't, at that point, it doesn't matter. You're going to be uncomfortable either way.
It's just cold. At that point, you're just cold.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I still love winter. I still fucking love winter. So, we should talk about video games.
We should. So, like we said, we're gonna take it easy, and I have a lot of people sent us messages. We have a few stories to share. Thank you to everyone who sent in a story. It's really cool. I love reading about how video games make people happy. It's like the best thing ever for me.
Because video games video games are a thing that make people, and especially you and I, like, super happy, right? Like, I mean, just talking about, like, how video games make people's lives just, like, brighter is so nice. You're just like, oh, yeah. This is so happy.
So, I do want to start with one.
Okay.
Because this one's really cool, and then what we'll do is I'll read one, and then we can talk about it, and we can talk about some of our memories, and then I'll read another one, and we'll go on and on.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so this one comes from Brian.
Okay.
And apparently it sounds like he does a Christmas podcast himself, because his email address mentions podcast in it, so...
Oh.
That's pretty cool. I didn't realize that at first. I'll have to check him out later.
He should tweet at us and tell us his podcast.
He wants me to send him the episode when we're done, so.
Okay.
So it says, I'm not much of a gamer nowadays, which makes me more something of an outcast working as a geek in Silicon Valley. But I grew up in the late 70s and early 80s, and we had one of those home Pong consoles from Atari they sold at Sears.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we later upgraded to an Atari 2600, the one with the imitation wood paneling on the front. I've seen that, and I swear to God, if, like, the PS5 had wooden paneling on it, and, like, even if it had, like, a knob to turn it on, I would be 100% on board with that.
Oh my God, that would be... Yes.
Old 70s style technology aesthetic is, like, aces to me.
Oh man, I'm so on board with wood paneled PlayStation. How fucking rad would that be?
God, I'm gonna look tonight. I'm gonna see if I know you gave me the Back to the Future one, which I still love. Yeah, but I wonder if there's a wood paneling like decal I can put on my PS4.
Oh my God, please
That'd
do.
Be awesome.
Oh my God.
All right. Okay, at my school's Christmas pageant in 1982, my class sang a version of the 12 Days of Christmas, in which we replaced the ending line and a partridge in a pear tree with "and a cartridge for Atari."
Oh my God, that's so cute.
That's awesome. I had the most of the standard 80s Atari games: Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Centipede, Space Invaders. And in 1982, the top of my Christmas list was the E.T. the Extraterrestrial game.
No!
I don't really remember how the game was played, but I vaguely remember it was something like helping E.T. build his phone so he could phone home. Maybe there was some magic Reese's Pieces, or he or Elliot could eat her flowers or something. And if you ended up helping E.T. build the phone, he would get beamed up to a ship. I think it's been 30-something years since I've played it, but I do remember that E.T. didn't look like E.T. at all. He looked like greenish and was kind of shaped like a gourd. I can't help feeling the game developers were told, look, just slap something together and make sure it's ready in time for Christmas. Which is true, actually.
Which is so true.
That game was programmed in 6 weeks.
Oh, man.
By, like, 2 or 3 guys.
It was, like, one guy who, like, had... it was the guy who did the super good for the time, Indiana Jones game for the Atari 2600. That guy had, like, 2 weeks to write the design document. And then, like, him and 2 other guys programmed it in 6 to get it out in time for Christmas. Holy shit, this guy actually owned a copy of E.T. Oh my God, that's so fucking good.
The kids won't know the difference, and we didn't.
Oh my
My
God.
4 siblings and I would play that game for hours and hours, but then again, we'd also spend a lot of time saying, E.T. phone home, in that weird E.T. voice. Because, hey, it was the 80s. Anything E.T. was awesome. We even had that E.T. album audiobook narrated by Michael Jackson, but that's another story.
What the fuck? Those existed?
Oh, I mean, I'm surprised, but
You're not surprised?
really. Because, like, Michael Jackson audiobook of E.T., like, yeah, that's the most 80s thing I've ever heard.
I mean, it totally is, like, yeah. Like, I can totally imagine it, but at the same time, my brain is like, what the fuck? That actually happened. Like, it's amazing.
So, what's really cool is I own a copy of E.T. for the 2600.
Shut up! I didn't know that!
I found it. There is a retro media store near my house. It's not Second and Charles, but it's a lot like that. It's called, like, Disc Replay or something. It's super cool. They have a great selection, and there was a $2 bin full of garbage, and there was a copy of E.T., and I'm like, I gotta.
Oh my God! I want to go there. When I come up there sometime, I want to go to there. I want to go to there.
I will totally take you there.
Yes, that sounds fucking awesome. Holy shit!
So
I can't believe that.
Oh, this is, like, I just think that's a really cool story. Just, like, having a happy memory about E.T. is hilarious to me.
See, that's so funny, because, like, you own it, and, like, the crazy part about all of this is that, like, E.T. is, like, weirdly kind of connected to Alabama, because, like, 2-3 years ago, maybe even 4, it might have been in 2012, I don't remember, but, some students from Auburn University actually put together a documentary about driving out to New Mexico, and trying to find the cartridges that they buried out in the desert.
Were they the ones that found them?
I don't know if they were the ones who found them, or if they spurred somebody else to go dig for them. Yeah. I don't remember, but I feel like they were kind of instrumental in actually finding the cartridges.
Because, in case anyone listening didn't know, they found them. The E.T. cartridges buried in the New Mexican landfill, they found them, and they dug them up, and they were sold for, like, $10,000 a copy.
Oh my god, I just can't believe that...
I know that Aaron Hansen of the Game Grumps has a New Mexico E.T. cartridge.
Does he?
Yeah.
See, that's just
amazing. And he said he spent, like, an exorbitant amount of money on it, like...
Man.
I even jokingly, when I bought mine, I'm like, even jokingly asked the cashier, like, hey, is this a New Mexico exclusive? And there's no way to tell, like.
That's amazing. That is just
it's so cool.
Amazing to me that they actually, because I mean, like, you know, when you hear the story about E.T. and how it literally destroyed the industry for 2 years, like, the wild part about all of it is the burying it out in the desert part.
Yeah, exactly. Like you believe that, okay, this game, yes, this, and there were other elements, but, like, this is kind of like
it and Pac-Man.
Yeah, that and Pac-Man were like, okay, well, these are the smoking pistol of, like, okay, well, this is what started it. And then everything else just kind of exploded out of it. But, like, then you get to, and then they buried them in a landfill. You're like, okay, come on, really?
No, they didn't.
They're in a dumpster somewhere. Like,
yeah,
whatever,
they were incinerated somewhere a billion years ago.
Or people just threw theirs away. They're scattered across the country. There's no way they actually went and gathered up all the cartridges and buried them in a landfill.
Like a shame landfill. And you're like, that didn't happen. Wrong.
They did.
Wrong. They did. They actually buried every available copy that they could get their hands on of E.T. in a landfill. Even crazier is that, you know, when they dug them up, it wasn't just like they buried them in a landfill and then they covered them in a layer of garbage and then they covered it in cement.
Yeah. They paved over it.
It was literally like the fucking Curse of the Mummy. Maybe that's why 2016 has been such fucking garbage, is because we dug up, because David Bowie died and we dug up E.T. and now the whole year has just been fucking thrown into whack. Like, that has to be it. You know, it was literally like the Curse of the Mummy.
The curse finally caught up to us.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
So that's the plot of Tom Cruise's movie. Is they dig up the E.T. cartridges, and then the mummified corpse of E.T. attacks us.
You joke, but I would totally see that movie.
No, I would see that more than the movie we are getting. But
did you see the awesome IMAX trailer?
Okay. So here's the best part, and this actually relates to one of my stories.
Oh, that's so good. Okay.
During the part where they're getting tossed around the plane, and you hear the generic, like, grunts of pain, those grunts are from GoldenEye 64.
No, they're not.
Dude, I sank probably like an entire 3 months of my lifetime playing GoldenEye 64 multiplayer. I know the sound effects of that game. There's a part where, like, a guy, I can't even make it. He's like,
it's the part when, like, the plane, the windshield explodes, and it's a really weird noise.
And like, the guy's like, and like, and I'm like, holy shit, that's from GoldenEye.
Oh my god.
And there's one of the screams the woman does is another grunt from GoldenEye, and I'm like, holy fuck.
Holy fuck, GoldenEye.
Those songs are older, those sound effects are older than most of my cousins.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh my god.
So, like I said, like, my friend, when I was a kid and that game came out, like, I've probably cumulatively sank like 3 months of my entire life just playing GoldenEye 64 multiplayer. That was one of the best multiplayer first-person shooters ever, and yes, I'm including Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch on that list.
Because there's so much, like, that was one that I actually missed, and I guess it was because, like, and what kind of, actually my story kind of leads into that in a way. Mm-hmm. Because when I was a kid, like, when the N64 was a thing, my exposure to video games was small, but the N64 is the start of everything. Like, the N64 is the seed that is the reason I now have, like, 5 different consoles in this house. But I didn't play GoldenEye because my brother and his friends wouldn't let me.
Oh, no!
Yeah, it's okay. But I just wasn't invited, because, I mean, it was just, I don't even think it was you're a girl, Sarah. I think it was like, you're my big sister, you can't play video games with us, Sarah. I'm
you're too old for video games.
Yeah, I'm like, boo. So, yeah, but the N64 and GoldenEye was, like, the game I didn't really sink my fingers into the way I played other video games, like all the other kind of classic 90s games that everybody knows. I missed that one. So that's really amazing, yeah.
It's, like... And we played it, like, 2 years ago at Christmas at my friend Matt's house. My friends and I all gathered there. He brought out his N64, and we plugged it in, and we're like, this is awful. Let's play it for 4 hours. Like... Oh my god! Like, when you have a 4-player split screen on an N64 game, you're playing in single-digit frame rates. Okay?
Oh my god.
When you're throwing out, like, so many bullets and grenades and shit, like, it chugs, and you can hear the N64 begging for death.
Really? I don't remember that at all. That's amazing.
Well, of course you don't, because you were a kid back then, and you thought it was crystal clear and perfect, but, like, playing an hour, like we're like, oh, this is awful. And we had to play with the N64 controller, which is, one of the worst controllers ever made.
Oh,
and,
God.
like, but yeah, we're like, this is awful, and it plays like crap. Let's never, ever, ever turn it off. And GoldenEye 64 is the shit.
Oh my god. They, a fan project remastered that shit a few years ago. I think on, like, the Counter-Strike engine.
They ported it to Source. And,
okay,
like,
is that it?
That's cool, but it wouldn't be the same.
You're totally right. I understand.
Like, it's GoldenEye needs to be played on the N64 controller with the single stick controlling.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about the maps, it's about the weapon selection, it's about the shitty controls, it's about playing, it's about typing in the code to unlock a million characters and, like, playing as Siberian Guard.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's great, and, like,
that's
that was...
amazing. That's amazing.
That did lead me, I want to ask, you mentioned that N64 was, like, the genesis for you, and that's a question I wanted to actually ask. What was your first video game?
Well, technically my first video game was some Barbie mystery game, but on my mom's laptop, because my mom had, like, one of, like, an old laptop. My mom, for a very long time, was a court reporter. She was that lady on Judge Judy who's on the machine. And so she had a laptop before, before they were a thing that people had. My mom had a laptop. And so, like, my first game was technically, like, some Barbie mystery game. But my first real game was The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, actually.
Nice.
Because I don't think it was for Christmas. I think it was for his birthday. Trey is my younger brother. He's 2.5 years younger than me. He got an N64 for his birthday. And he's, like I said, he's 2.5 years younger than me. I think Zelda came out in 1998?
97. It was really early. I'm gonna check for
Google
sure.
that real fast, because he was he was born in 91, so he was either 6 or 7, right?
November 21st, 1998.
1998. Okay, so he got that.
Oh my god, one of the first like questions underneath this. People also ask, is Zelda a boy?
Yes! Perfect. So Trey's birthday is in April, so he was So that'd be 1999.
Yeah.
He'd be, like, 8 years old. Like a little kid playing Ocarina of Time. And he really had no idea what he was doing.
Of course not, yeah.
I mean, he was just a kid. And I was, like I said, 2.5 years older. I was, like, 10. And I just really, really... It's such, like, one of those weird, vivid memories that you just kind of have just years on. We had a house where we had an upstairs, and I had the big bedroom at the front of the house with, like, these awesome bay windows. It was an amazing room. And I would hang out in there, and I would read. This was before video games destroyed my reading habit, basically. And I would just, like, my, like, hobby was laying around and reading. And I would just remember Trey would play that game, and eventually he'd go from all the way down the hall in his little room. I'd hear, Sarah? Sarah, will you come help me? And I would get up and I'd go help him, and eventually I'd be like, give me that controller. And so, basically my first video game was playing Trey's, save file of Ocarina of Time, because eventually I would just start playing it for him.
Yeah,
and he would just
eventually
watch.
you would just take over, and you'd be like, my game now.
My game now, because he didn't really, it'd be like, it's so much harder to, like, tell him where to go.
Yeah, exactly. With a game like Zelda, it's a little bit harder to guide someone.
Especially because, like, I didn't have a guide or anything. I was just kind of, like, winging it. I would just be like, well, try this and try that. And eventually he'd be like, well, wait, what? And I'm like, just give me the controller, and then I'd play it for him. And I think I'd let him do boss fights, just so he could do, like, the fighty bit that he liked. Yeah. And that's
but you
literally...
do all the dungeons and
stuff. I
do.
That's literally been Trey and I's relationship with video games for the rest of our lives. Has been when Trey and I talk about video games. My brother is a big shooter game guy. He's not as, like, a big video... He's a movie guy. And I'm the video game person of the two of us. But when he asks me about video games, his biggest question is, well, what's the combat like? Because his big thing is, combat games, that kind of thing. So, like, that's literally been our video game dynamic for our whole lives, is Trey's...
I don't gotta do any bullshit thinking or anything, do I?
I'm not gonna do any fucking thinking in this game, am I, Sarah? And I'm like, you might have to do a little bit of thinking, but it's kind of fun. And yeah, I just have such, like, fond memories of... Because Trey's room was, like, a little bit smaller. I was the older sibling, and I got spoiled with a big bedroom. And it was a more, like, girly room, because it, was very big and bright, and the walls were, like, pale and all that stuff. And Trey's was more boyish. And so... But I just remember spending so much time in Trey's bedroom, just hanging out with him in this room, and just playing video games, playing Zelda for hours, and eventually playing Final Fantasy VII. Because, like, FF7 was the next major, and if, like, Zelda was the start, FF7 was the nail in the coffin for me. Yeah, it was, was like the end. It was the end for Sarah. It was what ruined
life
my
would never be the same.
Yeah, like, Zelda was fun, but I could almost pretend I was still a normal person. And then FF7 happened and completely torpedoed my life. Yeah, it was amazing.
I guess this is me now.
Huh?
You're like, I guess this is me now.
Oh yeah, this is my life now, like 100%.
So I didn't have a choice.
Oh yeah?
Because my first video game was pinball on the NES.
Oh my god.
And I was a baby.
How old were you?
1.
No.
There is a photograph. My grandma has it, and I've seen it. It's little baby Ben sitting in front of her old CRTV with the NES controller in my hand, and I'm staring up, and I'm just hitting it when pinball is running.
Oh my god, that's adorable.
And
wow, you really had no chance.
There was no chance. Like, there was no chance I'd ever be normal. Like, I was literally raised on video games.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
I remember like playing NES games at my grandma's house on my aunt's NES, and I would play Mario 1 and 2 and 3, and then I'd move on to Mega Man 7, and by move on I mean I beat like 2 levels of Mega Man 7, and then Mega Man 6, and then I got too hard, and then I'd stop playing Mega Man 6 because it was too hard and I was a dumb kid.
Right, of course.
And then, it just escalated from there, and I do have a story similar to you with Legend of Zelda on the N64, where it's like, or same with you with Final Fantasy actually, where it's like, okay, well, I'm in for life.
Yeah, like this is it now. Like there is,
it's so clear in my head, and I'm so glad about this because I have a shitty memory, and I'm so glad this one sticks around.
Right.
I was playing Mario 64. It was like I was like a month or so after I got an N64 for Christmas.
Yeah.
I think the year it came out. So I would play Mario 64, and I got to a level. Like, it's a level that's pretty late in the game. It's I think it was. Let me just check.
Yeah, because like again, I never played. I mean, I played like a little bit because it was Trey's N64, so I couldn't. I couldn't just like be like, "Hey, let me play that," you know. Like, I mean, you had to share. He had to share, but at the end of the day, my parents were pretty cool about that. My mom and my stepdad and my dad, they were always very like, "Well, it's your brothers or it's your sisters, and you know, you can play with it, and we'll make him share with you. But at the end of the day, it still belongs to him." And I know a lot of people have, like, that annoyance with having a sibling, where it's kind of like, it's not really just yours, it's like your siblings, too.
Yeah.
My parents were cool
Fortunately, my sister does not care about video games at all. So, I lucked out. Like, she has no interest in video games whatsoever. So, like, she didn't give a crap when I got,
hilarious.
you know, an Super Nintendo. But, like, so I was playing Mario 64, and I got to Wet Dry World, which is like the later third of the game, like the second, or the last third of the game, basically. The last set of levels. And the gimmick in that level is that you're like in this big map, and there's water levels, and depending on where you jump into the portrait, because you had to jump in the portraits to go to the levels.
Yeah.
Whatever height of the portrait you jumped into is where the water level would be.
Oh.
So, like, you would be like, you know, if you went on the bottom of it, it would be low to the ground. If you went in the middle, it'd be like in the mid-level, and then it'd be completely flooded if you jumped in the top.
That's awesome. Okay.
And
that's really cool.
So, and I never really, like, picked up on that, because you can change the water levels in the stage as well. You can just touch the orbs and they change.
Right.
So, at one point I jumped in, like, in a low jump, and, like, Mario starts in the same spot every level, and he does like his flip and he lands in the stage. Like, he jumps out and he lands on the ground. And like, if you jump on the bottom, he goes and then he just falls and falls and falls, and you get this great shot of like how big the level is.
Yeah.
And little 6-7-year-old Ben saw this, and he saw like just the scope of this one level brought to life.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my god, video games are never going to be the same after
Video
this.
games are cool. Like, that's when you realize, like, oh, video games are really cool.
The jump from 3D.
Yeah.
The jump from 3D was never made more real to me than, like, that moment where I'm like, this is what we're capable of now.
That's so awesome. That's really cool.
And it's...
yeah.
So I just have this perfect, vivid memory of just being like, oh my gosh.
Video games.
This is huge.
It's amazing. Okay. You'll actually like this one. Because I don't know if I've told you this story. And if I have, it's been a really long time ago. And it's funny because I know you love Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, I do actually love Kingdom Hearts a lot.
I know.
I'm buying it again in a week, in like 3 weeks when it comes out. I'll be buying it again.
And so, like, the final, because like growing up, you know, the difference between you and me is I'm a girl. Hey, what's up? And so growing up, getting video games was kind of more of a, I wouldn't say like it was hard, but it is kind of harder to convince your parents.
There was an extra hurdle you had to get over with.
Yeah, it was harder to convince my dad and my mom to just buy me video games the way they bought Trey video games. I guess because they just thought, like, you know, well, and this was back in the day. I mean, a lot of people say, well, girls play video games all the time now. Yeah, okay, cool.
That was now, not in like 2002. Like,
yeah, back in the day, it really was for a really long time. the idea of a girl playing video games, like, serious business, not just, like, kind of screwing around or whatever.
Not just playing Mario Kart.
Yeah.
With your friends for funsies.
Yeah, like, actually
and
getting
fighting over who
invested.
gets to be Yoshi.
That was really rare.
I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. Just like,
yeah.
I just think this is funny. I don't know what it is, but like, I have a lot of female cousins, and like, who are also not gamers at all. And they're older, younger, they're not. My sister, and all of them included, are just like beeline for Yoshi in any Mario Kart or Mario Party.
Yeah, I think it's just because he's super cute and he makes funny noises and girls love that kind of thing. I don't know.
They don't go for like Princess Peach or Princess Daisy or anything like that. They don't go for anything. Like, it's just who can get to Yoshi fastest.
That's hilarious. but like...
So anyway.
So like being a girl, it was like kind of a harder thing for me to play video. And I didn't have my own system, but I had Trey's system, and Trey has the attention span of a gnat. So he plays video games and he gets distracted and goes off. But sometimes something would kind of hook him. But for like the most part, I could play his PlayStation and be left alone, and kind of I would mooch off of his games, and I could just play video
exactly.
games. And every now and then my dad or my mom would throw me a bone and they'd buy me a game. But the biggest turning point ever. When did Kingdom Hearts 1 come out then?
2002.
2002. So in 2002, Kingdom Hearts 1 came out. And that would have made me... I graduated high school. I would have been 12-ish. Something like that. I've had too much to drink. I can't do math. I was like, 11, 12, 13. Somewhere in there. And so... I was 12. Yeah. 88. Okay. I was 12. And I had this game, and I bought Kingdom Hearts. I bought it with my own saved up money. My dad pitched me the last of it. It was mine. I spent the money on it. The game belonged to me. And like I said, my parents raised us to be very respectful of each other's property. Like, what's mine is mine, what's Trey's is Trey's.
Right.
But the problem is that the PS2 was Trey's, and Kingdom Hearts was mine.
So there was a discrepancy.
There was kind of, like, the moment... My parents are divorced. And at my dad's house, one day, I don't even remember when, but it was in Trey's room, because that's where the PS2 was. Trey... What was it? I wanted to play the PS2, and Trey wanted to play Kingdom Hearts. You understand the problem here.
Yes, I see the dilemma.
You see the dilemma here. But because Trey wouldn't let me play the PS2, I went, fine, you can't play Kingdom Hearts. And it turned into this screaming match, and eventually, I don't remember who started it, but one of us hit the other.
Oh no!
And it turned into an actual knockdown, drag-out fight where we were like pulling hair and screaming and like trying to hurt each other.
Oh my god!
And my dad, because again, they're divorced. My dad is taking care of us. He runs in. He's like, my children are trying to kill each other, and their mother is going to kill me for this. He runs in and he pulls us apart, and he's like, what are you doing? And, it was like, well, Trey won't let me play the PS2. Well, Sarah won't let me play Kingdom Hearts. And, we fought, and he separated us, and I just remember, like, my dad just kind of, like, looking at me. And I was like, I want to play this system. I want to play video games. And it was later in the year, and that Christmas... I got my own PS2 and my own TV. My dad got me, it was the first time ever, my dad got me my very own PS2 and a TV for my room. And, it was amazing.
And you won.
I won.
You got to play Kingdom Hearts.
I still have that PS2. It's disc tray. I have to use a butter knife to open the disc tray now. Because I dropped it once, because it fell off my dorm room, like TV stand in college, but I still have. I get like teary-eyed thinking about how awesome my dad was for doing that for me, because it was like the acceptance. He was like, it's going to be like this for the rest of their lives. She is always... I mean, like, until she grows out of it, but it doesn't look like she's growing out of it anytime soon.
They'll give up video games eventually. No.
And Dad, it was just, like, the most amazing thing a dad could do for a 12, or at that time, that Christmas, I would be 13. For a 13-year-old girl who, like, had never really, had to mooch off of Trey's systems and play the games.
Yeah, exactly.
It was amazing. It was just the most amazing thing in the entire world. It was my favorite, probably one of the better Christmas gifts I've ever gotten in my entire life is that PS2. I still have that TV. I can't bring my... it's an old CRT. It's in my basement right now because I can't bring myself to throw it away because, like, that PS2 and that TV are so, like... They're it. They are my dad giving in and saying, okay, this is going to be a big deal to her for the rest of her life. And, like, oh, man, can you just imagine, like, getting, because, like, 2 Christmases before or something like that, we got a PS2 from our mom for Christmas, and it was Trey's. Trey's name was on the box. Trey's name was on all the games. So it was Trey's, but it was mine. So, like, just imagine how awesome that was. Just to have somebody acknowledge
your
that.
Own now.
And it was mine. I had it forever. Yeah. I played, I have, like, super vivid memories of playing Final Fantasy XII on that thing. My dad would lay around in my room with me and watch me play Silent Hill 2, and when scary things would happen, he'd grab my leg and scare me even harder. That part on the roof with Pyramid Head at the hospital.
Oh, God.
When that moment happened, I was, like, laying on my bed, and my dad was chilling out next to me because he was cool like that. He is cool he's, like, the coolest person ever. And that part happened, and he just grabbed me when it happened, because he's watched horror movies. He knows when these things are going to happen.
Yeah.
He just grabbed me really hard when it happened. I just remember screaming and, like, having to pause the game and, like, running away, and my dad's just laughing his ass off. And, like, yeah, my dad is, like, responsible for all of this, and sometimes I think he's like, why didn't I discourage it more? She spends all of her money on this shit. And I'm like, because I love it!
A drug addiction would be cheaper. My
dad smokes cigarettes, and it's only marginally cheaper as a habit than video games. And it's just hilarious to me that he did. Isn't it beautiful? It's a beautiful Christmas memory.
That's super cool, man.
It's a beautiful Christmas memory.
You know, like, there are, like... I still have all of my original consoles, too. Like, I've never had to rebuy a console.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain games that I've had to rebuy because they got damaged or they got misplaced or something like that. And, like, even though they're not mine, I like the idea of owning a copy of them. So, like, there are some that I've bought a second time over the years just to replace the one that's been missing.
Right.
But, like, I've never had to replace a console. And I'm very happy for that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because, like, for me, console purchases are always, like, a big deal for me. Like, I told you before, like, I have a hard enough time, like, deliberately selling games. I've probably only sold, like, a handful of games ever. And they're games that I deliberately, like, I'm never, ever, ever going to touch this game again. And I know it for sure.
Right.
And even then, I'm still like, oh, man, I wish I had kept my copy of Street Fighter 4.
Right, yeah. Just to say you have it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, the fact that, like, you have just, like... Because when you get a console, it's always a big deal, you know?
Yeah, and see, like, that's
it's
the
like
thing
you have an attachment to them.
Yeah, and, like, to me, like, the thing is that, like, unlike you, like I told you a few weeks ago, I had to sell my Vita to pay a power bill. It's just kind of the way, you know. When I was in college... I lost my wallet, and I didn't have any money. I had, like, $200 in that wallet, and I was in college, so I didn't have any money. So I had to sell basically my entire collection. Because my parents are they've taught... I mean, like, you know, my parents are awesome people, but one of them was, you know, you left the money on top of your car, you have to make that right. And so I had to, I didn't have any money, so I had to do that. So I had to sell a bunch of games.
Yeah.
I've had to sell consoles over the years to pay bills, to just kind of make ends meet, and then I'm like, well, I'll rebuy it later. And
I'm sure it hurts.
It does. It sucks because it just kind of feels like shit. If I just, if I could just make a little bit more money, I could keep the damn thing.
Yeah.
But
I should say, like, when I say like I never really do that, like, I'm saying that I haven't been forced to part with that, and I've been lucky for that to be a thing.
But so, the deal is, the thing about all of that is, I've had to do that. I still will never sell that PS2. That PS2 is never ever leaving my possession because it is the
You're going to be
PS2.
Buried with that.
If I have it my way, somebody will probably bury me with my old broke ass PS2. It doesn't, like I said, I have to use a butter knife to open the game tray nowadays. It's still, and I mean, it's the old fat model, it's the old the original PS2.
Yeah.
I'll be buried with that thing because it was
Put her copy of Abyss in it. She'll want that.
Yeah. You're so right. I think the PS2 has Abyss in it right now. I'm pretty sure it's if the PS2 has Abyss in it right now.
That's always a fun like experiment when I dig out an old console and I'm like, what was I'm going to play the 360 today. What was in it? Apparently I quit playing BioShock last time.
I mean, 95% of the time, if you open up that PS2, it's gonna have Tales of the Abyss in it, and the other 5% of the time is Final Fantasy 12. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I love that PS2. I love that stupid fucking thing. It doesn't work anymore. Like, I mean, it works, it turns on, but it's a real bitch to get that thing open. Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Oh, it's so worth it. It's never going anywhere.
Okay. Okay, so we got another story.
Okay.
This one is from Max. And he says, back in 2001, Super Smash Bros. Melee was released early in December. I asked for it for Christmas, but rented it beforehand, so I played it all through that Christmas season. This was before Nintendo released information on their games online for promotion, like Brawl's Japan Time.
Japan Time, R.I.P.
Japan Time was fucking great.
Wasn't Japan Time like the best time for video? I don't even play Smash Brothers, and I love Japan Time.
Because it's fun to get caught up in hype like that,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, my friend Jeff and I slowly unlocked new characters, not knowing exactly which character would show up next. It truly exemplified the best the game can offer, a sense of mystery and discovery paired with enthusiasm for the source material. Seeing characters like Mr. Game & Watch showing up blew my 13-year-old mind. There was so much to discover with new characters and stages, and each new discovery increased my excitement. Of course, because Super Smash Bros. That feeling was shared with my friends, which made it all the better. It is among my most treasured game experiences, and I'll always remember it fondly.
Aw, that's nice.
I do love, like I mentioned the Mortal Kombat ones. I'm not a big fighting game guy. I mean, Smash Bros. Is like the only one I play like religiously because it's the ones my friends play.
Right.
But like, the unlocking of new characters and the advent of Japan Time and like that level of hype. There's such a camaraderie.
Oh yeah.
In it, like. When you're like, oh my god, this character's gonna be it, and you see everyone in like your gaming community freaking out too, like even people who don't care about fighting games can still get really, really excited about like, look at this trailer for this new character, it's really cool.
I mean, yeah, when they announced Cloud for not Brawl.
Oh yeah.
Was it
for 3DS and Wii U?
For the Wii U Smash Bros. The chill the fuck out Sakurai!
Yeah, Maximilian dude just, like, absolutely losing his shit. And, like, whenever I think of that video, I always think of him just screaming out, I love video games!
That's exactly it, yeah.
That's it. Like, when you get that level of hype, you're like, I love video games. It's so
amazing. Cool. It's hilarious to me that so many of, like, my super hype moments about video games and, like, when I'm reminded of how much I love video games, it always seems to come back to Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
Because like,
I know what you're going to talk about.
Because the ultimate, I've always said this, the single most pure expression of human joy you'll ever watch on the internet. And anytime I swear to God, I watched it like 2 weeks ago because I was feeling kind of bummed out and I just wanted to feel happy with somebody. is the game trailer's reaction to the Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer.
Yeah.
It is the single purest expression of human joy.
There's guys standing on chairs.
There's a grown man in a suit, like standing on top of a chair and crouching with his hands pressed against his mouth, staring at the screen because he can't believe what he's seeing. That is the single purest expression of human happiness in the world. Like, you will never find anything more beautiful.
They're like solid reveal trailers like that are always so good. I always think of that, and I think of there's a screen cap of a 4chan post where it's because before that they showed the world of Final Fantasy, which from what I hear is actually a pretty fun game.
It's
like,
cute.
I heard it's actually
it's
a pretty
really
entertaining game, and it's cute and fun, and like it's actually plays pretty decently. So, but like it wasn't Final Fantasy VII, so like people are like, oh, it's exciting. So someone posted a picture of Chibi Cloud from that game.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about.
And he's like, and the thing is like, sarcastically like, yeah guys, they're totally gonna confirm Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
And then 4chan included a thing where like if someone quotes your post, you'll see it listed, up in the post. Like you'll see who quoted it. There's a solid like 5 or 6 lines of people quoting that post.
I mean, and I just remember the same thing was on Tumblr too, where someone was like, posted that picture of Cloud from the World of Final Fantasy trailer, and someone was like, haha, Final Fantasy VII Remake confirmed, and the next reblog was from that same person going, holy shit, they're actually doing it. And like, that's amazing to me. Like, that is why video games are so good. Like, yeah. Everybody's reaction to FF7 is why video games are good.
Mm-hmm. And like it just goes back to like any sort of like, because I remember being like an active part of Japan Time and like waking up early to go check it on the. God, was I in high school?
You had to have been in high school. No, because I think we were still friends. I think I didn't know you during Japan Time. When did Brawl come out?
2008, so I think we were just starting to talk.
Yeah, because I remember Japan Time happening while I was in college. So we were friends, but it was like the very beginning. So yeah,
I was in college, but like I remember like waking up early anyway and like reading Japan Time articles and being like, what's confirmed this time? And
oh man,
it's still quoted today, X confirmed for Smash. You know?
Totally. Like 100%. I remember checking, and again, I don't play. I'm not a Nintendo guy or girl. I'm not a Nintendo kid. I play Zelda, and that's kind of it. So like, and I'll play Mario Kart and Mario stuff at parties. But like, Zelda is kind of like the reason I'm at. Like, when I'm even talking about Nintendo, I'm talking about Zelda. But I was following Japan Time, and speaking of Zelda, I still just remember getting super hyped when they announced the Zelda Sheik redesign for Brawl, which looks so fucking cool. And I just remember, I remember that hype too, where you're just like, holy shit, oh my god, this is so cool, like. And
because it was just like, it was every morning you would log in and you would see what new crazy thing is being put in this game, and I honestly believe this to be true. I think someone from the two best friends said it, but like, there's never been a game with more content, more unique content than Smash Brothers Brawl.
Yeah, I thought
like out of sheer scope of like modes and trophies and music and different like mini games and collectibles and stuff. There's never been a game so packed with content.
I feel that. Yeah.
And like. And even when the new Smash came out, and we're getting full on cinematic trailers for all the characters, and we're like, oh my god, these characters look so cool.
Yeah,
it's so much fun. Like,
I mean, it is. Like when they announced Bayonetta, amazing.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck,
Bayonetta.
It's so cool. And then you think of the cloud reveal trailer. Where Maximilian's, where he starts off, he's like, okay, just show the character, show whatever, show show like the contest winning character, whatever. Let's get it on with it. And they're like, what the? Because it shows the star pan, like the pan of the night sky, the stars. And he's like, what the? What? Is that? Oh my god!
Shut the fuck up!
You see the font. You see the font and everything. It's just like,
yes.
No matter what, like, because, and I think part of it is like, it's really cool, and it's just to see that character, and it's also like, even if you're not a fan of fighting games, the implication behind that character is also cool. Like for people like Bayonetta or for Cloud, it's like, okay, they had to put in the work to make this contract, to get this character in.
I mean, it's so cool. Yeah, 100%. Video games are awesome.
Oh, I love video games.
Okay. What's another story? Give me more. Give me more.
Okay. Actually, let me go pull it up. This one actually was on our Tumblr.
Oh.
Or my Tumblr.
Okay. We should probably start our own Tumblr.
We should probably do that. It was sent in by Sara, who does our quote-unquote sister podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Which is The Good News with Ben and Sara.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which is a really, really cute and happy podcast where the two of them read off news articles every week that are just happy and entertaining, and there's nothing sad or disappointing about it at all.
That's nice.
And we both started around, like, the same time.
Yes,
and
they started,
so
like, 2 months after us, like, a month after us or something like that.
So we have this weird parallel that they're, like, are very similar names, and I just think that's hilarious. But she says, the first video game I remember getting for Christmas was a Glover for the Nintendo 64.
Oh my god.
Also, due to the dates it falls on and the Gaylord Resorts cashing in on that sweet holiday gravy train, every MagFest feels like a Christmas video game fever dream. Oh, good lord, do I want to go to MagFest, like, so bad. Like, I
know.
I want to go to MagFest more than I want to go to Comic-Con.
Well, for one, MagFest is probably cheaper.
Yeah. And it's a, like, I love comics and nerd stuff, but, like, MagFest is a bit, more focused on I prefer video games over comics, so, like,
really?
It's a little bit more focused on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess like, I know you like comics. I guess I always kind of, it's just like, well, Ben is my comics friend, but I'm like, no. Yeah. No, Ben is really more of a video game guy. Yeah, that's true. I feel that. Oh, man. Glover. But
Glover. I'm so glad you said that.
Glover was weird.
Glover, man, if there was one game that I would be more than happy to actually break out the N64 and do the work to get the RBY cables to connected to my new HD TV, it would be for Glover, because I want to see if it's as good as I remember.
I think, like, the best part of old 90s and early 2000 games is, and God, I wish this would come back, and, like, at the way video games are kind of going now, it probably won't for another few years, but God, I wish it would. 90s and early 2000s platformers were probably some of the most insane and awesome things that have ever happened. And I mean, a lot of them were total garbage. Don't get me wrong. Like Gex or whatever the fuck it was called.
Oh, fucking Gex.
Yeah, like fucking Gex. Like those guys. Like all these rando ass like platformers that were all coming out at the same time. I just, like, when you look at them now in, like, retrospect, you're just like, what the fuck?
Lucky we didn't have another Crash due to those crap. Like, how many Crash Bandicoots can we make?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, that's all it was this era of, like, Sonic is popular and Crash Bandicoot is popular.
Mario 64 is popular, so...
What other animal can we turn into a radical dude that will do the cool thing and be a platform mascot for this?
And it's
none of them.
None of them. What is there? There was Tomba, which was like kind of okay. There was Glover. There was Gex. There was Busby the Cat. Busby 3D.
Busby 3D. There was Croc, which Croc was fun.
Yeah,
Croc was like relatively harmless, but like there was like there were so fucking many.
Oh, there were so fucking many, right? Like, so many.
But Glover, like, I'm pretty sure Glover was actually good.
I don't know, because I didn't play that one.
I played it, like, back in the day, I never bought games because I was a kid, and I couldn't afford to buy games. My parents would not just buy me games on a whim, you know.
Right.
It had to be for my birthday or for Christmas, and we would just go to Blockbuster, and I'd rent a game for a week, and that would be like, it'd be like our week. There was an off-brand Blockbuster that was walking distance from my old house.
Right.
So we would go there, like, every week, and it'd be like, okay, Ben, pick out your game for the week.
Yeah.
So I didn't own a lot, and I only started owning games until I started making money at a job.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So, like, but I must have rented Glover, like, 3 or 4 times.
Really?
I remember having fun with it.
Oh, man, that's hilarious.
But, like, I don't know if it was actually good or if I was just a dumb kid, because, you know, you always take that gamble playing old games.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh man, I remember having a lot of fun with it. Oh no.
Oh no, it's bad. Oh no. Yeah. Man, there's so many of those.
So you're like,
too.
do you let the memory rest in peace, or do you take the risk and like, because you know, and it also goes back to like early PS1 and 64 era games, where like, especially, you know, like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, you're like, why was I afraid of this?
Oh man,
like,
right?
This is absolute trash. Like,
yeah,
what was scary about this?
What did we play? Oh, Trey and I played Dino Crisis.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about it. But I remember Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis,
aka Capcom ripping off themselves?
Somehow? Like, really weird?
Capcom's like, boy, that Resident Evil sure is popular. We should make our own Resident Evil.
And then somebody was like, we make Resident Evil. And they're like, fuck it, let's just... Honestly, though, at the point where I am as, like, a grown-up, if they did a new Dino Crisis, I'd probably play it.
Yeah, I'd probably be a little bit on board with that.
I'd probably be on board with a new Dino Crisis, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's another genre of game that, like... took a hit post-90s, was like the tank-controlled horror game.
Tank-controlled survival horror games are, yeah.
Because I had Parasite Eve, and we had Resident Evil, and we had Silent Hill, and we had Dino Crisis, and yeah, I just remember all of those games. I mean, we played all of them. We loved all of them.
Yeah.
But they just kind of took, I guess, because, like, tank control, I mean, like, there's a factor of nostalgia that I'm really glad died.
Like the death of tank controls it's irrefutably a good thing.
Oh, 1,000%.
That we don't need to do them anymore.
Yeah, like the death of tank controls was one of the better things that has ever happened to the industry.
Yeah,
you know, maybe the best thing that's ever happened to the industry, because they were bad. I mean, they were bad, like real bad. Oh, but yeah, man, like, I just remember, I mean, just, like, all the weird video game trends that kind of come and go. And and Glover is really, nothing more, like, encapsulates the weirdness of late 90s video gaming and their insistence on making strange platformers out of everything more than Glover.
Well, there's a weird... oddly specific aesthetic that Glover fits into, and that is like the weird time period where platforming games were floating blocks over an infinite abyss.
Oh man, you're so right.
You know what I mean? Like there was no, like, it wasn't like a solid world that had like occasional pits in it or obstacles or whatever. It was like, here's a set of floating island blocks.
It was all pits.
And there was a skybox around it. Like, it's like, it's a very specific ideal that came and went very quickly.
And Tomba had that going for it too. It was so weird. I mean, it didn't have it as much as Glover did, but it had levels that were like floating.
Glover had it. I think Gex had it. I know Chameleon Twist had it, which is another one that's just like,
why?
I want to go and try that one again.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Because
it might have been good.
Video games are really weird. Like, on the flip side of, like, video games being fucking awesome, video games are also kind of weird.
So? Okay, there you are. Okay.
Yeah, you lost me for a minute there. And my dogs are like...
Every so often...
Yeah.
Every so often, like, Discord will, like, cut out, and, like, usually it's just for a split second, but sometimes it's for more, and I'm like, oh, crap.
Did I lose her? Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
And I would really love it. I love you, my dogs, my beautiful, beautiful children of God, like I called you when I texted Ben when I was drunk. But you've got to stop wrestling right next to my laptop's power cord and unplugging it, because you're making me crazy.
Because that would be bad.
That's bad. Diva, stop licking him, too. It's weird. She's gotten into this weird habit lately where she licks Boo-Boo. I mean, she licks his ears, and I'm just like, why? It's cute, don't get me wrong. But, like, he looks clearly annoyed the whole time she does it. He's just staring at me like,
Dogs
make
are
her...
weird.
They're weird creatures. I love them both, but they're strange fucking creatures. You're very cute. I love you. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Give me another story. We've got what, one more to go?
One more, and then there are a few more topics I want to hit on, like nostalgia
tell
topics.
Me. Do it.
Okay, so this one's from Dave.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Says, my favorite Christmas gaming memory was a Christmas of '98, so I was 8 years old. All I wanted was Ocarina of Time. My grandparents had insinuated they were going to get it for me, so we got over for Christmas Eve, our family tradition. The time comes to open presents, and they got my brother and I a combined gift. I get all excited, and we open a popcorn maker.
Oh.
So he starts freaking out and running around the house, and to be polite, I pretend to be excited too.
Right.
They calm us down and tell us that is not the whole gift, and tell us to look inside the popcorn maker.
Oh, man.
Inside the popcorn maker is Ocarina of Time, and I start freaking out. And that is the story of how my grandparents trolled me on Christmas.
That's amazing.
I actually have a similar story of getting trolled on Christmas. And it's not really a trolling... But with video games, it's not really a trolling story so much as it's like a weird thing that... Okay, so my sister and I would always get an equal number of gifts.
Right, of course.
You know, whatever. Because my mom would have a budget, and then she would try to make sure that the number of boxes match. And as time goes on, you know, it's more like the quality of the gift would matter more than how many we got.
Right.
But like when we were little kids, it was always like we want to make sure the boxes are equal amounts that we open up.
Because like I know if it's anything like the way my mom did it, what she does is your mom sits in front of the tree every Christmas morning, and she hands gifts. I don't know if that's how your mother does it or how your mother did it.
What we would do is we would get up and we would stack our presents in our own piles.
That's hilarious.
And then my mom would tell us to open them, and we'd open them one at a time, and she'd take pictures of us holding up whatever gift we opened, and we do that until we were all done. And, you know, so it's kind of the same idea, where it's just like you just go, you make sure everything's equal and squared away. Yeah,
my mom was like the referee of Christmas. Trey and I would sit away from the Christmas tree, and Mom would sit in front of it, and she would... And I guess it was because she could control, like, making sure you open the big present last, like the good present last. She would hand us all the little presents, and, you know, we'd walk our ways, and she would know what was in each one, and we'd go through it, and then she could hand us, like, the big, awesome present at the end of all of it, and kind of cap it off.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Trey's PS2 was one of those, ironically.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, one year, I got one less than my sister.
Oh, no.
And so we're like, oh no, Santa forgot to give you one. Like, oh no, what's going to happen? And my dad goes, oh wait, what's that? What's that in the chimney?
Oh no.
And I go and I look in the chimney and I open up the grate, and inside of it is, and I still have this, it's the fucking coolest thing in the world. And when Melissa and I get our own house, I'm going to hang it back up.
Right.
It doesn't fit my room now, but I'm going to hang. It is a promotional rollout poster for Donkey Kong Country.
That's awesome.
And it's the box art of Donkey Kong Country, like blown up, you know, up-res and all that on this on this nice like almost like what's the word, like not polyester, but like plasticky rollout fabric.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like not like laminated, but like
what they make
like placemats out of.
Yeah, like what they make like movie posters out of. Well, not
yeah,
really,
exactly.
But I know what you're talking about.
So it's like it's really, really, really nice, and like I'm flipping because back then I didn't own a lot of gaming merchandise. I I would get games and I would play games and I wouldn't, I wouldn't have Mario toys or anything like that because I didn't really have them back then.
Right.
So to get this poster that I can hang up in my room and like it's Donkey Kong Country and it says I think it's the funny thing, it says 32 megs and I just think nowadays I think that's hilarious because like whatever.
God. That's like nothing. That's like nothing these days. You just like I can fit that on my phone.
I know.
It's
like
hilarious.
that's a song.
It's like a song, and it's like an uncompressed song. Oh my god, that's hysterical.
I know, and so like, and it's just like such a cool like poster to have, and that like oddly enough like reaffirmed my belief in Santa because
it was in the chimney.
As a dumb baby kid, I'm like the thought of my dad put it in the chimney is like, no, Santa, it fell out of Santa's sack. Like, while he was going back up the chimney.
Of course.
Like, duh,
clearly, like, that's how Santa works, you know?
Now, in my defense, I'm pretty sure, because the way my family does Christmas is we go out on Christmas Eve, and we stay out until, like, 3 in the fucking morning.
Yeah, because your family's fucking insane.
We do both sides of the family in one night, and then we Christmas Day, is we're in our PJs, we're gonna play with our new toys, the whole family is going to mess around with whatever they got for Christmas because they want to, even my parents are like, I bought my dad a record player one year, and so we listened to old records while we ate breakfast. That was cool.
That is
so like
cool.
We're gonna chill at home. So like I'm pretty sure there was a year when Elizabeth and I were really young where at some point during the party my dad snuck home and put the presents out and then drove back, and so that when we got home, Santa was here!
Oh my god, that's amazing.
So, like, that's, so, like, obviously, like, yeah, Santa, it has to be real. I mean,
yeah.
Where did these presents come from? Are you kidding me? Like, come on.
Like, obviously, Dad and Mom were at the party with us the whole time, so clearly Santa had to have been here. Duh. Obviously, shut up.
Of course, yeah.
Of course Santa is real, whatever. My mom's still, I'm 28 years old, my mom still says from Santa on some of my presents.
Oh yeah, my parents do too. They still
good.
write from Santa on them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my parents still say from Santa, and I'm like, thanks.
We don't leave out the milk and cookies anymore, because that's a waste of cookies.
Yes, it is, but...
But, the spirit is still there.
Of course. Oh, man. Oh my god,
so,
parents.
There was one other thing I was thinking about on the way home today, and like it's something I think about a lot. And like speaking of, we talked a lot about the N64 era and like early 3D games and how there's like weird quirks with early 3D games.
Yes.
And one of the ones that I think is the best, and I love it. I don't like being the kind of guy who's like only 90s kids, or like I try not to latch on to nostalgia, like, and talk about, oh, well, back in my day we had it way better, because we didn't.
No, of course not. Video games were a lot weirder back then, 100%.
Yeah, their video games nowadays are objectively better than they were back then, but there's a certain part of the narrative that like, or not of the narrative, but of the product of the time that can literally never be repeated.
What is it?
And that is when the era of 3D games were finally coming out.
Yeah.
It existed in a time frame where this was a brand new level of technology that we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
We also had the advent of the internet, which back then was a form of communication, but there was no credibility behind it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like, none. So, we have this brand new frontier of video games, and this brand new form of communication, and we didn't have the technology or the means to fact check.
Oh, man.
And video game grade school recess rumors are a point of culture that cannot exist in its original state anymore.
You're totally right. It is like, it is the ultimate form of like, 90s kids will only know. That is the truest form of like, this is a thing that, unless something changes, and I doubt it will, can never ever happen again.
like on the one hand, you know, Maxwell mentioned this in this thing where like nowadays anything announced will be released in the public and it will be a big deal. There's no surprises anymore. Like you will get your trailers, you will get your announcements for every character. You don't. The idea of like unlocking a secret character that no one knows about is unheard of nowadays.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's free promotion that you're wasting.
Right. Yeah.
So technology and information is so much more readily available, and that's great. That's awesome. It's objectively better. But Mew 3 and Bill's Backyard and finding the Triforce in Ocarina of Time and playing as Luigi in Mario 64.
Rainbow Chocobos in Final Fantasy VII.
Aeris Lives.
We're
just like, it's this great point where like, because you had no way to prove them wrong.
You're totally... Yeah, because, like, you could always just think in your head, well, if it didn't happen, I must have done something wrong.
Yeah. So, and I remember this part, too. One of the biggest rumors is playing as Luigi in Mario 64. Because back then, that was, like, the first time Luigi hadn't been the player, too, in a Mario, like, a mainstream Mario game. Like, Luigi's not there.
Right, yeah.
So, like, he has to be, like, a secret character. And so, I remember reading, my friend had a magazine.
Oh my god.
Like, how can you not trust the printed press?
Of course, like, the printed word is, absolute.
Even back then, we're like, okay, well, the internet may not be entirely reliable. We might understand that, but this is a magazine.
Why would they lie to us?
These are words, like, an editor made this. They printed these out. This code has to work. And we tried it, and it didn't work, because Luigi's not in Mario 64.
Right, yeah. Oh my god.
So, but we're like, oh god, we must have done it wrong. So we did it like 2 more times.
Yeah, you tried like 100 times thinking, surely I just put something in wrong. Nope.
Because if I remember right, the code is there's a mirror in Mario 64. And it's pretty cool. It's, anytime like a game has a mirror that's broken in modern days, I call bullshit because Mario 64 did it.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Motherfuckers. So if Silent Hill 3 can do it, you assholes can do it.
You can walk in front of the mirror in Mario. There's like a mirror Mario, and he mimics your actions. And so the idea is you hold down the L button on the N64 controller, and you do 64 backflips into the mirror.
Oh god.
We did that 3 times.
Oh my god, you were there forever.
Each time thinking, oh, we counted wrong.
Yes. Oh my god.
We were dumb.
We were dumb.
But it was in a magazine!
How could they lie? They would never lie. That's like, they have like fact checkers and stuff like that. Like magazines are professional. Like, of course that's the real deal. Why would they lie? And that's just, they didn't lie, they just didn't know.
Yeah, and just like, and just stuff like the Aeris Lives is always like one of my favorites because it was such. Oh my god! Even back then, I didn't play Final Fantasy VII, but I knew about Aeris Lives and like because the notion of killing off a party member like that was
such
unheard
a big deal. It was
unheard of back then.
Oh, absolutely! You'd never even consider even God loved Final Fantasy IV, and I do. I love Final Fantasy IV because it's ridiculous in retrospect. Final Fantasy IV does kill off, and I'm putting it in finger quotes, you can't see it, but there's finger quotes. They kill off a bunch of characters, and I'm pretty sure every single one of those characters ends up being alive again.
Yeah.
By the end of the game, it's either like, oh, I didn't die, or, oh, Palom and Porum are like the twins who save Cecil on his way back down the mountain after he becomes a paladin. They're turned to stone in order to save Cecil. And you're like, oh no, Palom and Porum! And they end up being alive by the end of the 4th game, too.
Or, so in 5, one of your party members ends up dying, too, but they get replaced by the exact same party member. Like, who has the exact same abilities, you know what I mean? Like, so even then, that doesn't really count. Like, the idea of, like, no, she's dead. You don't get a backup Aeris. Like, she's dead. You
lose all access to any of her limit breaks, to the fact that she was... I mean, it's really kind of crazy what they did, because Aeris is still the best magic user in the game.
Yeah. That slot, the space on your party member screen will be blank forever. Yeah. You don't get another party member to replace her.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And, I remember, like, people being like, no, there has to be a way to revive Eris, because if you use a Game Shark to hack her in, she has dialogue in certain scenes. And, well, yes, that's pretty damning evidence if you don't know how games are built.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't realize that, yes, she has generic dialogue for group scenes, because Square Enix had the foresight to be like, well, if someone does hack her in, we have to make sure the game doesn't crash,
Yeah.
If a trigger goes off that says, your third-party member needs to say a generic line here, and Eris doesn't say anything.
It's all really generic stuff.
Yeah, it's
too.
Always just like, hey, or, or whatever.
Like, dot, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like real dialogue the way
exactly.
that
and
other
it's just
have.
It's just a failsafe to make sure that triggers get checked off so the game doesn't crash.
Exactly. I mean, 100%.
But we didn't know that.
No, of course not. We didn't know how video games worked back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was in the thick of... God, I feel like so many of my nostalgic memories of video games are FF7. There's a reason for that. I played a lot of Final Fantasy VII as a kid. It was, like, my first major... Not just my first, like, major big girl game, because, like, Ocarina of Time was a big girl game, but, like, Final Fantasy VII was another level of big girl game, And not only was it, like, my first, like, major... like, difficult game in a way that Ocarina of Time just wasn't, because Final Fantasy's RPGs have, like, stat management, they have inventory management, and all of these, the little things, there's a ton of hidden shit,
You've got to put in the work.
Yeah, you've got to put the work in. So not only was it, like, that first, like, that, it was just not that first for me, it was also, my first fandom.
Exactly.
So, like, and I mean that by, like, I was on forums, and I was, I read fan fiction, I looked at fan art, it was like it was my first fandom, which is a big deal, because, early internet fandom was a weird place to be.
It was a very odd time to be alive.
It was
and
strange.
On the internet.
And the old website, it actually still exists. I think it's called, like, FF7 Central or something like that. I'll link it to you when we get done.
Oh god.
I think it still exists. It might not exist anymore. I'd have to go look it up. But I feel like I saw it like 2 years ago or something like that. And it was the place, like the single place that kept all of the rumors in one area, and you could test them if you wanted to. And there were dozens of them. There was the Eris Lives. There were different types of chocobos, like not just like. Not just the ones that the game has, but like, like rainbow chocobos and wood chocobos and like chocobos that could go underwater, stuff like that. That obviously do not exist in FF7. But stuff like that was just so, like, today, you look at it and you're like, that's so stupid. But like, we all believed in it. Of course we did.
Exactly.
And I just remember, like, the steps. I think even in my stupid little kid head, I knew the Eris Lives one was bullshit because
you wanted to believe. But
the steps were so convoluted and made no sense, like in the long run, that I just knew. Like I knew in my head, I'm like, no, there's no way this is real.
Well, you say that, but literally in one of the new modern Pokemon games, there is a Pokemon that only evolves if you hold your DS upside down.
Yeah, of course. Like
So, like, which to me is a much better tribute to old rumors than actually putting something underneath a truck in Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, the idea of having a Pokemon that, like, because that sounds exactly like a bullshit rumor.
Oh, totally.
If you feed Mewtwo 99 rare candies and you hold your Game Boy upside down, he'll evolve into Mew 3.
Right. And, like... Yeah, like the steps for Eris Lives were so ridiculous in that respect. You had to talk to the this guy sick guy in Midgar at like a very specific point in the game, and if you didn't, then you'd miss one of the triggers and you'd fucked it all up. It was that kind of thing. And I guess I just knew, like, hearing that. I was like, that sounds like bullshit to me. My little 12-year-old bullshit radar was pretty strong, so.
But I just think, like, because we can't have that back again, because, like, you can just disprove anything right away, because, like, even if it's a new game, or, like, you don't have access to it, anyone can check a game's coding and see what's bullshit and what's not anymore. Like, you can check the game files, you can decompile it, and you can be like, okay, well, no, there's nothing in here for that, so no, it's not true.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of takes out some of the mystery.
But it was fun. It was fun, like, because I remember vividly someone showing me a printed out picture of Meryl from the Gold and Silver games, the little blue mouse, the water mouse, and it was labeled as Peekaboo.
Yes, I remember that too.
We're like, what? What the hell is this? Like,
how do you get that? And there was always some ridiculous way.
You have to beat the Elite Four 100 times.
Yep.
Or no, like 128 times, then you talk to Bill, and then he'll take you to a secret garden, Bill's secret garden, where you can catch the Poke Gods, and you could catch Mew 3.
Amazing. Best time. Just the most ridiculous time.
And I remember reading, like, early, or like, there was like a whole like article on some Legend of Zelda like forum post.
Oh boy.
Like some fan site where like they even had screenshots of Link getting the Triforce.
I think what that was that you can, but it's that like it's in the dev room. You know, you can get to the dev.
There is a dev, because they use a shot. There's a 3D shot like near the end of the game or something that shows the Triforce in like a chamber.
Yeah.
So that room exists in the game's files.
Yeah.
And logically, you can bring Link into it because you can plant the player character into it. But that's not, you're not adding it to your inventory. That's you going into a part of the game you're not supposed to go into. Like, that was not supposed to be accessible at all.
Yeah,
but like
exactly.
I remember seeing like not only like doctored screenshots, but this is back in like the late 90s, early aughts, where it's like the screenshots are of someone's TV. Like, they took a picture of their TV.
Oh my god,
and like,
yes.
That work on what had to be like Photoshop 1 is absurd. So of course you believed it, because like there's no way you could doctor something like that without doing an extreme amount of work.
And it's like, these days you can just kind of go like, oh well, this is how they did it. I'm sure what they did was like,
well,
even
they
back
actually
in the day,
there's
you
like
could hook a computer
on the website. I'll see if I can track it down if it's still on online, because it'd be great if it was. Like, they actually went and showed like, okay, well, they took a screenshot from here of Link talking to this character, and they got the text from here, and they cut Link out, and they transplanted him into this cutscene. And, they did, like, they showed, like, okay, well, here's a clear image of what they actually did, blah, blah, blah. Which is pretty cool, that they can do that. And, like, but, like, just the idea of, like, imagine being on the forum at that time and seeing this screenshot and be like, holy crap, what, you can really do that?
Yeah, it was such a weird, wild... I mean, like, yeah, it was the best time to just...
Because...
In its own stupid way.
It's also, like... This is also kind of a weird thing to think about, but, like... It was kind of for me at least, it was kind of a scary time. Like the idea of going to places you're not supposed to in a game. There's something like...
It always has that kind of eeriness to it.
There's something like, Haunted Mansion, or like, we shouldn't be going in here. I hear it's, cursed.
Yeah.
Like, there's always something sort of like...
But the thing is, I'm 28 years old now, and when I fall through a map and I can walk around, I still feel like I'm
right. Yeah, like
because
honestly,
of that feeling.
When I was a kid, I used to have recurring nightmares of going out of world in a video game, and
really,
like, then not being able to get back, and like not being able to play the game again. Like my character would be trapped there. Like, Mario would be trapped outside of the world, and I could never get him back, even if I turned it off and turned it back on.
Right, that's so funny.
So like, honestly. And I honestly believe, like, the scariest thing to encounter in the real world, like in the real world, would be to encounter a ragdoll glitch, or seeing someone clip out of world.
Oh yeah, for sure, because it's such a bizarre thing. Even in video games, it's such a bizarre thing to see happen. It's really creepy. So of course in the real world it's like some sort of fucking nightmare nonsense.
Like seeing frame skipping in real life would be nightmarish.
Mm-hmm. It's a total, oh man, I just like, I don't know, there's something about old video games that have such a charm.
You know what?
To them.
I said earlier on that, like, why were we scared of, like, PS1 Resident Evil or stuff like that, or Silent Hill? And now that I think about it, like, obviously, like, if you were to take a look at, like, they're not scary. Obviously, the models aren't. But, like, there is something that's really unnervingly creepy about PS1 era graphics specifically.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think what it was too was that whole new era of 3D
it's a whole new world of video games, and like there's something uncanny valley about it that the PS2 kind of doesn't really have.
Right.
There's more to your imagination with a PS1 monster than there is with a PS2 monster. And that also harkens back to the fucking terrifying eel in Mario 64, or the haunted piano in Mario 64, which are, like, terrible nightmare creatures that scared the crap out of me as a kid. And, like,
so funny.
The reason I never played Ocarina of Time is because I was scared of it.
Yeah, you told me that. It was the skeleton kids at the. It was night, right?
It was the Great Deku Tree. The Skulltulas.
Yeah.
Terrified me.
Yeah, okay.
Like, absolutely horrified me beyond belief, and I could not even get to the Great Deku Tree because I was just that scared of these giant spiders that made that skittering noise, and they dropped down out of nowhere, and...
That's so funny. Because there's a whole house. Oh god,
like, my friend Jeff showed me that house, and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Never again.
Nope. That's so funny. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Skulltula house is like a thing. That is so hilarious. Oh god. So, it's so funny just how many like all of my like truly good nostalgic memories for video games are either FF7 or Ocarina of Time.
Well, you know, it's...
Because they were such a massive...
Yeah, exactly. And when you only have, like, when you start off with those two, like, you always remember, like, you know, the first one that really made an impact for you. Like, for me, it was Mario 64. Like, and, you know, I have played a lot of previous games before that, but, like, just you know, seeing everything in a whole new light like that is just so cool.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for sure, FF7 was so... Even more so than... I mean, Ocarina of Time was, like, life-changing, but FF7 was just, like... on another level of just knowing. Even back, because I first played FF7 in what, like 2000 and like 9 or so. No, because I made you play it, and I was back from. It was like 2000 and. It was like 09,
10 or something like that. Like it was fairly recent. Is the first time I picked it up.
Yeah,
and. Even then, I was still wowed by the game. Like, it's a fantastic game, and I'm not going to disparage it for anything. But, like, I remember, like, being at a friend's house and, like, seeing, like, seeing them play it or whatever, seeing, like, a gameplay demo of it or whatever, and seeing the FMVs, and being like, it's never gonna get better than this. How can they get better than this?
Oh man. Actually, you want to know the best... Okay, this is like the good story to kind of round the evening out with. To like... the funniest part about how I even played FF7 to begin with, this isn't Christmas related at all, but whatever, was that... Okay, so back in the about like 2000, maybe 2001, probably about 2000, now that I think about it, Pizza Hut ran a promo where if you ordered a large pizza, you get a demo disc of PS1 games.
Man.
And the PS1 games, all I remember, Trey wanted it because it had like a demo of Tony Hawk on it. And I think it maybe had like Siphon Filter and like one other game I can't remember. But the other game it had was Final Fantasy VIII. Mm-hmm. Right? And we played FF8 on that. And the demo was really hard. They, like, jacked up the difficulty on the demo because, like, they wanted it to be really hard for you to beat. It was super hard, but we played it a bunch because it was just so, like, whoa, this is so different from any video game we've ever played. And we played it and we loved it, and up the road from our house in Nowheresville, Alabama, was another, like, you know, Video Express, like a little knockoff owned by these two really cool old people who, they were just amazing. And the lady who ran this awesome, she was like 50, 60 years old, and she had a back room in her video shop that she just packed to the walls with video games. Amazing. And we told Dad, we're like, we want this game, we just pestered Dad, and Dad, you know, spoiled us because we were, you know, divorced kids get spoiled. You gotta try and win them over from, you know, their mother. And so Dad spoiled us whenever we were at his house, and we went to buy the game. But we were stupid little kids who couldn't read Roman numerals.
Oh my god.
And that is how I got FF7.
That reminds me, and it's a story I did want to, like, that's incredible. And that also reminds me of a story that I forgot I wanted to tell until just now.
What is it?
And it's the story of how I came to love Chrono Trigger.
Oh my god.
As much as I do.
Oh my god, Chrono Trigger, tell me.
Okay, so it's very much in line with your story, which is you play this one game over and over again, and you don't quite understand what it is, but you love it to death.
Yeah, totally.
So when I was a little baby Ben, my aunt would cut my hair because she was a hairstylist, and she would, you know, my mom would take me to her house to get my hair cut because, you know, that way we didn't have to pay for it, you know, and she would get to visit with my aunt and talk and stuff. So whenever I would go, I'd get my hair cut first, and I would, this is not related, but I would play Game Gear.
Oh my god, I had a Game Gear too!
And it would have to be plugged into the wall, because otherwise the batteries would not last the haircut.
Because the Game Gear sucked, yeah.
But, so once my haircut was done, and I was set to go, and my mom and my aunt would just, you know, sit and drink coffee and talk, whatever, and, you know...
As parents do.
I would... Yeah, as parents do, and my family is the kind that's like, we're gonna leave in an hour, and then it's 3 hours later, you know, because they're stuck talking. So I would go upstairs, and I would play my older cousin's SNES, and my older cousin had all the best games, you know. Right. He had Mega Man X, and he had, you know, all these, like, all this list of games that, like, I've never heard of, and there was no way I could ever play them by myself. Like, I only played them at his house.
Right.
So there was one game he'd just sit me down in front of it, and he'd, you know, pick out the game for me, and he'd turn it on.
Right.
You know, and I'd be like, okay, well, cool, I'll just play this game, whatever. I don't know what I was doing.
Right, of course.
And there was one game where you played as, like, a little boy, and he had a dog, and it was like a top-down RPG game. And the idea of it was that, like, you go into a laboratory, and an experiment happens, and you get sent back in time, and you go through different time eras with you and your dog.
That sounds awesome.
And, like, the gimmick of it was that whatever time era you'd go into, your dog would become the standard dog of that time.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So, like, when you go back to the prehistoric times, and your dog is like a cool wolf.
That's awesome.
Or you'd go to, like, the 1800s, or, like, you know, 1800s France, and your dog is like a poodle.
Right.
And so I thought it was the coolest game ever.
Right. And
I would play it, and I'd be like, this is the best, I love it, it's awesome. And I played it, like, you know, every few times I go to get my haircut, I would play that game. And so one time when I went there, I'm like, I go to my cousin, and I'm like, hey, can I play the time travel game?
Oh my God.
I want to play the time travel game. And he's like, the time travel one. Because, like, I didn't remember the name of it. I know the name now. It's Secret of Evermore.
Okay.
And I want to find a copy of it and play it for myself. But, like, so he's like, the time travel game. Okay, so he sits me down, and he turns on Chrono Trigger.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, this isn't the time travel game. What is... But whatever, I'll play it, you know? Yeah. I don't care. I'm a little kid. So I played it, and I started a new file, and I played it up until the trial.
Okay.
And then, you know, it was time to leave after that.
Right.
So next time I go to get my hair cut, I play Chrono Trigger again.
Start a new file.
Start a new file, of course, and I get past the trial, and I I get up to the point where you first leave the future with Robo in tow. You first leave the future and you go back to the present.
Yeah.
And that was always when I would get stuck because I didn't know where to go next.
Right.
So, like, every time I get my hair cut, or every time I would just, whatever reason I had to go over to my aunt's house, I would play that game, and I would get up to that point, and then I'd be like, well, I'm done. I don't know what to do anymore, so I'll just quit here. And that, like, built up over time where I just got really, really, really good at
that first part of the
everything
game.
up until that point. To the point where, and then afterwards, like, it kind of faded away. They moved further away, so it was a little bit harder to get there. And so, you know, I would just start getting my hair cut at whatever local place.
Right.
And so eventually I'm like, I want to play Chrono Trigger again. I was in, like, middle school or something. And so, like, I dug up a ROM of it.
Yeah.
And this, so the thing is, like, I would play it up to that point, but sometimes I would also, like, play on my cousin's file, where she had beaten the game, so I just wander around the world map with all the party members and everything, so I'd kind of get familiar with all the different layouts and stuff.
Right.
So I knew what all the time eras looked like and
yeah.
stuff like that, you know? I didn't know what was going on in the story, but whatever.
Doesn't matter.
So I played it as, like, an older kid who knew more about how things worked and, you know, how to, you know, wander around to find things to do in the game.
Right.
And I got to the point in the game where you first go to 12,000 BC.
Oh, man.
Antiquity with the Kingdom of Zeal.
Yeah.
And now, at the end of the game of Chrono Trigger, when you're doing your side quest bits, Antiquity is not a time period you can visit. You can't visit Zeal anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's destroyed at that point in the game.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
that, like, a game that I was quite familiar with. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I knew who all the party members were. I knew what the world environments all looked like.
Right.
Suddenly, there's this area of the game that I've literally never seen.
That is so awesome.
An entire part of the game that is just completely fresh to me.
That's amazing.
And so, and of course, Zeal has the best music.
Yes.
It has Shala's theme, which is one of the best songs in the game. It has Kingdom of Zeal theme, and I'm just like, it's great music. The environment looks amazing. The aesthetic behind all the buildings and the people in it are just mind-boggling. Here's this great magic city in the sky.
Right.
You know?
Oh, man.
And I'm just like, oh my god, this is amazing.
It's something new. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just this completely brand new area of this game that it's because that never happens in a game, you know? Like, it was a very rare and specific situation to be in.
Right.
That, like, it's a game that I know very well except for this one part, and then I get to this part and it's the best part of the game.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's just something you had no idea about.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, I had no inkling that anything like that existed.
Right.
Because you don't get a party member in Zeal.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, even looking at the full party cast, I'm like, okay, well, this guy, you know, I know where all these characters, what era these characters are from, obviously.
Right.
So, like, it was, I had no hint of it being a thing, and then finally I get to this place, and I'm just like, my jaw drops.
Because it's so different, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Just like, and so that's when it became my favorite game of all time.
I feel that.
After 5 or 6 years
yeah.
of playing this game on a loop to a certain point, to finally getting to a completely brand new area and having a fresh, like, awing experience of this game.
Yeah.
After that much time.
Right.
It's great. It's like imagine if playing Final Fantasy VII and then you found a 5th disc.
A 4th disc. FF7's only 3 discs.
4th disc.
Yeah.
Like, imagine like playing Final Fantasy VII nowadays, and then you look behind the instruction manual and there is a secret fourth disc.
Yeah.
Like, 4th disc with tons of new content on it.
God,
That's what it would be like.
I wish. Oh, man. You still need to play Chrono Cross.
Yeah, I
know.
I will say one thing. I shifted it up the list a lot.
Did you?
because I want to do a ChronoCast.
I do. I wanna get your opinion. I have such a divisive opinions about Chrono Cross because I just love it so much. But we're not.
So, like, I want to beat. I have to beat Dishonored first. Dishonored's on the list because hey guys, Dishonored's our next episode.
When is the next episode?
In like 2 weeks. We have plenty of time. It'll be. We're taking a break next week for New Year's.
Yay, gonna get super drunk.
And then we'll be back with Dishonored, and then guys, I will admit that our schedule for the next few months is a little weird because releases are going to hit a lot at once, and then drop off, and then things got delayed, like Persona got delayed, so we had to shift that around, and then
summer gets here, and it's like the summer games drought, and
so we'll be. We have a list of things. It's just a matter of putting them in the right order.
Right.
And I want to do a ChronoCast soon. So after Dishonored, I want to clear up stuff like Pokemon and Ratchet and Clank and a few other things. And then like once I kind of wipe away the remainders that I have, I will bust out Chrono Cross.
It's good. I mean, it's so worth your time.
And,
I mean, I don't know if you're gonna like it or not.
So I will admit, as a huge fan of Chrono Trigger, a game that if you saw the Twitter, I have five copies of that game on different platforms. So as a huge fan of that game, knowing that none of the original team worked on it on Chrono Cross. And knowing that, like, as a fan of Chrono Trigger, like, the fandom of Chrono Trigger and the Venn diagram of Chrono Trigger fans and Chrono Cross fans, they're basically two circles. There's basically two circles.
It's two circles that touch, and that line is where I'm sitting. And there's like 50 other people like me in the world. Who love them both equal. Although, honestly, like, I do kind of sometimes waffle towards Chrono Cross. Because I just love Chrono Cross so much.
But, and for a while there was a time where I refused to play the game. And, there was no way I would ever touch it. But, I've matured.
Yay.
And I've grown. And I am going to, like I do with every game, I am going to give it an honest shot.
Give it a chance.
And I'm not going to preemptively judge it. I am going to take it for what it is.
It's amazing.
And then you will either hear me talk about how it's how it's amazing and breathtaking and a fantastic experience, or I'll be like, it's fucking terrible and I don't ever want to touch it again. It's going to be one of those two.
It's amazing. I mean, I don't want to hype it up too much, but I do honestly just think it is just incredible for what it is. But I actually played it first.
Mm-hmm. And that will definitely color your experience of it.
Yes, it totally did. But that's another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So, that, for now,
I guess that does it.
This felt really good.
It was nice after the negativity of Exilia 2 and
after Exilia 2 and occasionally we talked about other negative things, and then again after this mess of a year.
Oh god. This fucking year.
So hopefully 2017 is going to have Berseria and Persona.
Holy shit, it has Persona 5. Look, get fucking hype.
Looking up already,
oh my God, at least it has Persona 5.
It's gonna have the Nintendo Switch. It's gonna have Breath of the Wild. So I'm looking up there.
It's God, what else?
Horizon.
Oh yeah, Zero Dawn Horizon.
Horizon Zero Dawn is coming out.
Resident Evil 7
is coming out.
Looks really good, actually. The new Prey looks super good.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. I'm
very excited to watch you play Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
So Sarah and I have an arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be fair. I'm going to buy the game for you.
Oh, you don't have to.
Because
I have big girl money.
You're the one who's going to be playing it, and so I figure I can do at least that much for you.
Right.
when we're going to take advantage of the PS4 streaming service,
Right.
and I'm going to watch her play it, because if I were to play a survival horror game, I would not play it.
Right.
And it would take me like 4 months to beat, because I would just inch my way along the game.
Right, exactly. That's hilarious.
Because I'm a huge coward. So
you don't do the horror thing very well.
No, I don't.
That's okay.
So I'm going to watch her play it, and then we'll do our Resident Evil cast about that.
That's
once
hilarious.
we're done with that.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm very excited for that. And hopefully 2017 will also have Death Stranding.
No, I think I heard it's going to be 2018.
Okay, well.
Sorry.
We'll get more trailers
And they'll
in 2017.
all be fucking weird.
Which is just about as good.
I mean, honestly, I'll take that, because I heard somebody joking that since, it has Norman Reedus and it's got Guillermo del Toro in it, somebody was like, well, clearly that means Junji Ito is going to be a character in it too.
Yeah.
And all I can think is, please God, let Junji Ito be in Death Stranding.
Basically, I love that one, I think it's either a Tumblr or a Twitter post, where it's like, wow, Death Stranding is literally the friends we made along the way.
It is! Death Stranding is the friends Hideo Kojima made along the way. And Mads Mikkelsen. I love that Mads Mikkelsen does not know what's going on in Death Stranding.
Yeah, you saw his interview about that, where he's like, where people are like, what, did he just show naked Norman Reedus crying over a baby? And like, the Mads Mikkelsen got interviewed, he's like, I saw the trailer and I saw the raw emotion presented in Norman Reedus' face, and I was just blown away
I was
at
on
the
board
artistic presentation that Hideo Kojima was putting into this work. And I have no idea what it is, but I'm fully on board for it.
I love that Kojima told him the plot, and he still doesn't know what's going on. That is exactly what I want in Death Stranding.
I want to imagine that, like, what happened is Hideo Kojima forgot that everyone doesn't speak Japanese. So he told Mads Mikkelsen the plot in Japanese, and Mads was polite and just kind of nodded along. And then a translator came in and gave him the same exact spiel in English. And Mads smiled and nodded along.
And still doesn't know what's going on.
That's...
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I'm... just another happy note, like, on the future is, like, I'm really... I was glad that it was Hideo Kojima and Norman Reedus on it at first. I'm like, okay, that's great, Silent Hills collapsed and fell through, but, like, we got... these two are working together, so that's really cool.
Right.
And then you see Del Toro.
I know.
And you're like... I felt like a genuine surge of happiness about that.
I love that Guillermo del Toro is a man who will fight for you. And I mean, he'll fight fucking anybody if he's your friend. He, like, called Konami, he was like, fuck Konami on his Twitter.
Yeah, he literally said fuck Konami and called their decision moronic.
I love him. I love Guillermo del Toro.
And
I think I'd follow him in the hell.
I did a mini Twitter rant about it, but, like, it's one of those things where, like, I care way more about a game or a movie or anything like that where you can see the amount of passion and effort people are putting into it.
Yeah, 100%.
As opposed to, like, a game that's really, really good but has no, like,
Heart and soul.
it's a cookie, it's a cookie cutter, like, here's your next Call of Duty, here's your next sports game, whatever.
Right, yeah.
Like seeing, like, the level of care that, like, it's the differences between, like, when Del Toro was expected to say, we are upset at Konami's decision to cancel the project, and we were hopeful for future opportunities or whatever, the generic professional response, to have him instead say they were morons, fuck Konami.
Right.
Is the difference between having actual passion for your project and doing it as a job.
Right. I mean, absolutely, and that is why I just love Guillermo del Toro so much.
Whatever Death Stranding ends up being, it's going to change video games.
Or it's at least going to really, really confuse the fucking hell out of me. I'm really excited for that 4-month boss battle.
Yeah. I'm excited for the point where the game tells you to break the disc.
Yes.
And buy a new copy.
100%.
I can't wait for the scene where Norman Reedus flies to your house and kicks your ass.
I want the game to like scan your PS4's memory, and if you have any Konami games saved on it at all, it just won't let you progress. You know? Like a door won't open until you delete all your Konami saves.
Except for Metal Gear Solid 5.
Except for Metal Gear Solid 5. Yeah, absolutely. I want the game to like patch in new content for Metal Gear Solid 5 on the disc, and it'll just be Konami.
If you have Metal Gear Solid 5 on your data, the game turns into Metal Gear Solid 6. And it just becomes a whole new game.
Whole completely different game. That's awesome. Oh god. So yeah, I think we're good. I think we've had enough happy. We've had our little happy memories video game chat.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
It was good.
Yeah, guys, follow us on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can email us if you want to email us happy memories. We'll still read them on the air.
For sure.
But if you also have any other questions or anything like that, you want to hear us talk about certain topics, or you have anything you want us to elaborate on, you can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com.
We'll get a Tumblr at some point.
Yeah, I'll set that up probably tonight. Yeah, I'll go ahead and fucking set that up. And then I'll include the link in the bottom. Putting the big link list in the description, it's getting exponentially bigger and bigger as I add more stuff to it. Like, normally, here's where I would thank either Visager or Broke for Free for background music, but I haven't picked out which music track I'm going to use.
Oh yeah. We need Christmas music.
I'm going to add more holiday festive music, and there's a pack that I need to browse through and make sure I get the right thing, and I haven't done that yet. So
that's okay.
I'll put a link to their work in the description instead. And because I don't know who it is because I haven't picked it yet.
Awesome.
So I'll include a link there, and preemptive thanks to them for whatever.
Whoever you are.
Check out their work. I'm sure it's great. I would not pick crappy music.
Is that it?
So I think that's it. Happy holidays, everyone.
Merry Christmas, Ben.
Merry Christmas, Sarah.
God bless us, everyone.
Fuck no one, because it's Christmas.
Fuck no one, it's Christmas. Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night.